Sideline of goal! Lakewood's doing it! They're gonna take it! Green down burning! Revolt with a double kill! Dropping fast! Final points there! He's still alive! Wait, oh, seconds left! He's got one time! He's got a second! He's taking it! They're overtime! On three! They're all dead!
Welcome back once more, ladies and gentlemen. We've got game number 2 of this best-of-3 series between Team Coast and Team Hellraisers. Coast looking strong in game 1, and we'll see if HR can take a win here and level things out to take us to an ace match. I'm Zyori, joined once again by Blaze, and let's hop right into this draft. Blaze, buddy, how you feeling?
Feeling pretty good. That last one was a very intense game. Obviously went some distance there, but I feel that Hellraisers just didn't have the strategic advantage in mind. Like, they didn't go in with the intention of ending the game early. They tried to wait for item after item, and Coast were able to take that away. At least now we get to see some more traditional carry-type heroes, not only the Nature's Prophet, but the Shadow Fiend, so we have some potential for some negative armor combos, and that's definitely enough to bring down Ember Spirit with the right state of mind. So we'll have to see what Team Coast bring, if they're going to be able to take this 2-0, or if Hellraisers look to close it out. But they're certainly not running an early to mid game strat in the late game anymore. They are going to be turtling it up as best they can to try to take it and make the Spectre make the most.
Yeah, so Shadow Fiend and even just seeing Shadow Fiend second picked is a little different here. We've seen him almost exclusively as like a 4th or 5th pick kind of pocket strat style hero. Interesting. So, yeah, they'll turtle up. What are Coast going to do here? They pick up the Lich to try to make the lanes a little more in their favor. They'll have Brewmaster and Ember Spirit. I guess that probably means it'll be a safe lane Ember this time around with a Brew in the mid.
Yeah, I think that seems more plausible, but I mean, obviously we saw how great East Coast was able to perform in the Ember Spirit matchup at the mid there, and I think actually Shadow Fiend might be an easier matchup than the Death Prophet, so obviously it depends all about how the SF plays. With good right-click damage, Ember might be forced back, but yeah, it just depends on who they feel will be able to suppress him better. I think both heroes have potential to accomplish that, but a Brewmaster safe is known at least for the potential to get that Blink Dagger very early on, and I think that's what you need more importantly here is the initiation against the SF, because if you can start jumping on an SF right around level 7 on the Brewmaster when he's got that very early Blink and Brown Boots, then you're going to be able to build momentum where the supports are constantly rotating to defend him, and that makes it harder and harder for Spectre to feel confident in his farming routes. So for now, I think it's going to be Ember mid and Lich kind of pseudo-supporting with sacrifices on the mid, and then Brewmaster's safe, but like you said, they're flexible, and we'll have to see what they feel is going to give them the most potential in the early mid game.
So Team Coast, they're sticking to what they know. The Enigma worked for them last game, as did the Ember Spirit, and they'll try both of them once more. And interesting. The Enigma last time, he had one camp blocked off, and he started in the other jungle, and he recovered pretty well. It wasn't a terrible start for him, but certainly wasn't ideal, and I wonder if this time around Hellraisers will put more resources into blocking out his spawns early on, or if they'll just kind of say screw it and try and match greed with more greed.
5 seconds remaining.
Yeah, I don't think that. I think they need to get some early map presence right now for the side of Hellraisers. They need to be roaming around with the Bane, making things happen. The Mirana is obviously off the table, so it's hard to find the perfect heroes to combo. But, I mean, we've seen some interesting strats. For now, it's going to be the Sand King, which brings a lot of potential here, and I don't mind that, but I also don't think it's going to give them exactly what they need. Like, they definitely need Jende on Nature's Prophet to get that Orchid up sooner rather than later. I would hate to see a Midas on him in this situation. And, yeah, in general, they're going to be just playing this game where they think they can outfarm Team Coast, they can be more efficient, utilizing their jungle, while obviously the Enigma gets the chance to use his, and we'll see if it pays off for them, but right now it's got to be all about emphasizing stacks for the Shadow Fiend, stacks for the Sand King, and using those heroes in a very aggressive way so that Spectre can find his farm towards the late game.
Yeah, and the Sand King pick does sort of fall in line with that, dealing with greed by bringing some more greed yourself, as he can make good use of the jungle. Not quite to the degree that Enigma can, but fairly comparable in terms of position 4s. Now, Team Coast, what do they want to grab here? Probably something rather aggressive towards the offlane. Someone that can move around and make plays happen. Bat Rider, I think, would have been almost ideal in this kind of a scenario, but What do they have here at their disposal? Clockwork could be an option. Centaur, he's still in the pool, actually. Maybe Centaur would be perfect here. If he can farm up a Blink Dagger, great for taking that mid-game by the haunches and putting a lot of pressure on the Shadow Fiend Spectre.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't mind that at all, and we do see it coming out. So very good call there. Very pristine potential with Solon specifically. Like, I really liked his play in the last game. Midas Morana in a off-lane / supportive sense is something that I'll never complain about, but the way he was able to utilize that farm after the 15-minute mark really made his mark across the map, where he was split pushing or causing grief, and they're going to be causing grief in a different department this time around. Solon wants to be able to find kills with that Blink, maybe Tranquils, very early on, just crush down this SF and this Nature's Prophet as many times as possible to make it so that they really can't get their feet underneath them. But yeah, we'll see if Hellraisers can bring it back. Right now, they, like you said, they really need this win. They do not want to be knocked out at this stage here, and it's going to be them having to outplay their opponents, I believe, because Coast have another really solid draft.
Yep, and it's do or die at this stage of the game for the Hellraisers. Will be Yoki headed mid on the Shadow Fiend, and might have to hold our introductions here as we could see an early skirmish break out. Art Style, he's just chugging right forward. Both teams have vision of one another. Mother kind of scouting it out.
I don't think either team wants to fight here. You think of all the heroes that are going with level 1 abilities. Like, you don't want to skill Frost Blast level 1. You don't want to skill Malefice or Midnight Pulse level 1. They're just kind of trying to scare the others off, force them into a confrontation, and then disengage. But really, neither one is really good in this situation. Maybe you could get a Nightmare, Burrow Strike, and Dagger, but even then it's hard to find a kill on a hero like Brew. So he's perfectly fine just dancing around. And yeah, nobody really wants to fight. They're just trying to obviously throw their weight around.
Yeah, all right. So that'll be the end of that first little skirmish, or maybe dance is the more appropriate word here. 0 mark rune will spawn. It will be Brewmaster to grab the bounty rune. It will be a haste up top that has been scouted out by absolutely no one. So it will be Jende on the Nature's Prophet here in the off lane for the Hellraisers. The mid, it will be Yoki rocking the Shadow Fiend Arcana. Looking awesome here. The Arcana Burning Soul. Oh, how badass he looks. Christy Jensen will be here on the Sand King in the Radiant Safe Lane, joined by Dread on the Bane, and it will be Art Style on the Position 1 Spectre, looking to find some safe lane farm. Now on the side of Coast, you've got 8 Mother here on the Brewmaster in the off lane. He'll be joined by Seal Kid on the Lich, who did go sacrifice level 1, so going to try to get some lane control back for his good buddy Brew here. They've got a Sentry Ward down, which will block the pull camp, and plenty of ward coverage here in the jungle. So they're really trying to prioritize this Bruise farm. And that means in the mid, we've got E-Skills on the Ember Spirit. Blonde will be in the jungle on the Enigma once more. None of his camps have been interrupted this time. And Solon will be safe lane on the Centaur, so also putting a lot of prioritizing farm towards his early Blink Dagger.
I've actually been told recently that his name is pronounced ES Kills, but I guess it's
ES Kills?
neither here nor there. But what I do know is he's amazing on Ember. I mean, we saw him last game, but in general, his record for the hero right now in competitive matches is 5-1. He has a lot of potential, but he is still under a lot of pressure from Yoki here in the mid. Like, he's able to, with the Flame Guard, survive that initial Shadow Rays burst, but he still is a hero with only 2 armor. Even the PMS might not be enough. Dread will come in, get the Nightmare off. This should be your first blood onto the key hero.
Yeah, Jensen will come in with an easy stun under the tower. Yoki's there with a couple of auto attacks. It's actually Dread that draws the bonus gold with the haste rune. Still a nice gank on the Ember Spirit, and a hero to shut down. As you were pointing out, we saw his power last game, so maybe a player-hero combination that you should prioritize a bit with those early ganks, and also just never bad to get your Shadow Fiend a little bit of extra momentum in these early levels.
Yep. So, actually, Christy Jensen, if he didn't have boots there, definitely would have gone down. It's not just about the initiation. Oh,
Yoki.
Wow.
It's going to be a counter kill. ES kill. He'll live up to his name.
The Shadow Fiend, because he split the experience with that first blood, he gets to level 3.5. He didn't get the first blood bounty. Oh, bottom lane. Art style. One last right click. Oh,
the poor man's shield. Oh, man. That saved him, I think.
Intense.
That was really close. That would have been a huge kill coming out for Team Coast. But I don't know. I think this Ember Spirit will actually kind of be okay with that. It's never ideal to be the victim of a first blood, but getting a solo kill on the Shadow Fiend, he now has an experience advantage. He's level 4 and secures the 2-minute rune.
It really depends on what Dread does with his first blood money. He's got boots, so if he can get a kill based on having these boots early, then I think that Hellraisers obviously got the advantage there, but if not, then yeah, Ember Spirit's very happy to have this experience advantage, and the bottle will be coming out soon enough. So once he's got the restoration, he's going to be okay. Artstyle taking another clap. A lot of damage coming out from these two, but a nice Nightmare to defuse the situation. Juggled by the Lich, and 8 Mother will just keep going to town, though without any mana. There won't be any kills.
Yeah, and I wonder if 8
Oh,
Mother...
Nature Prophet TP.
Uh-oh. Now they're in a little bit of trouble. There's your Sprout around 8 Mother. He's pretty damn tanky, though, and it's not enough. The Brain Sap is there from Dread, and now Christy Jensen rotates over. Seal Kid will also fall, and it'll be a 2-0, but it's a pretty costly rotation here. 4 heroes to make it happen, and that's opening up a lot of space for this Centaur to farm up towards his Tranquil Boots, so worth it, but not for free.
And I'm still pronouncing it wrong. It's S-Kill is what it is. The E is kind of silent there, but...
What?
Yeah. Man, I don't know. These names. I guess you kind of...
These crazy Swedes, man.
Yeah, when you throw it out there to the internet, they're going to pronounce it whatever way they feel like. I know Koikwa definitely is a victim of that one, but... S-Kill is got his bottle up. He's not going to get a rune immediately, though. It's going to be 8 Mother covered up for him, but he really does need that mana and HP restoration to stay in this lane here. It is a level 5 Shadow Fiend. There's a lot of damage coming from these raises, and if he doesn't Flame Guard exactly when he needs to, he's going to be regretting his state of affairs. But while that rotation came through, as you mentioned, it was a very beneficial rotation, but it did cost them all traction they had on the top lane. Centaur is now level 5. He's halfway to a Blink Dagger. He is looking really good, and we've seen what Solon already could do with little solo plays, but if he collaborates with S-Kills on this mid Shadow Fiend, there's going to be some blood spilled for sure.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. Shadow Fiend is sitting at a really good CS score right now. He's 25-11 compared to the 13-5 of the Ember Spirit. But up top, Solon, is he in trouble? No, they're just going to rotate Artstyle so he can find more farms. Spectre has 8 last hits under his belt. So this safe lane farm has not worked out for him at all. Between the Lich stealing his creeps and 8 Mother just doing a good job being a bully in the lane, Spectre's been pretty effectively zoned out, and they will pull a full rotation as now the Prophet goes into the safe lane role. Nothing but phase boots on him right now. He'll have some supports to help him out, but I don't know. What do you think about this lane rotation here, Blaze?
I mean, I kind of feel it's necessary because the entire draft is about Artstyle getting some farm, and he did farm well enough on the Silencer in the off-lane situation last time around, but if this Centaur gets one assisting hand, whether it's Blan on the Enigma heading over to the western side of the jungle, or if it is going to be the Lich coming through, there's some real kill potential against him. But first, on the mid, that's where the blood is going to be shed, as we do see the smoke rotation coming through.
And Blan is level 6. He's got a hole, and he's not afraid to use it to set this up onto Yoki. The Ember Spirit going in to set it up. The bait is there, and the solo black hole will yield a kill as the Shadow Fiend gets taken out once more. And this time it is the Ember Spirit that gets credit for the kill, so he'll find his level 6, and a great rotation from Blan, who so far has been very quiet, keeping to himself in the jungle.
Yeah, and now that he's going to be building up towards level 7, he's going to have maxed Flame Guard with the Stampede. Nobody gets away from that, bottom line. You could see like a Nightmare play, maybe the Sinking Burst Strike from low ground to high ground, but right now, if they're fearing for their lives against the carry that they're trying to kill, then you're in a very bad state of affairs. So Solon will be finding his blink very soon. Artstyle actually making a huge mistake, going for the dagger forward and getting chunked down.
Yeah, you could tell Team Coast were ready to punish that one. Solon, not a moment's hesitation on the Stampede, and nothing Artstyle could do, so that'll make it 3-3, but Team Coast, they've got a pretty decent lead already. 1,500 gold, 2,500 experience. If the Hellraisers can't do something to change the momentum in this game, it could end up being a quick series here, Blaze. It looks tied up 3-3, but Coast have huge momentum, and now the Blink Dagger on Centaur. This is one of the scarier item pickups you'll see this game, and at the 7-minute mark, things are about to get very scary for the Hellraisers.
Yeah, already on top Artstyle again. Oh my gosh, this is so bad.
Oh my gosh, and there you go. Front and center, the power of the Blink Dagger displayed for us, and back-to-back deaths on Artstyle. I mean, his farm is just non-existent now. Brown Boots, Poor Man's Shield, nothing in savings, and 13 last hits. If we look at his net worth, he's down next to the Bane.
Yeah, this is just absolutely brutal. Yeah, skill with the Invisrune is going to go right on top of Yoku as well. He's going to get the Searing Chains guaranteed. Really? Didn't connect? The 2 creeps took it?
Oh, man. That's really unfortunate. That's just unlucky.
Yeah, well, that was, I mean, he could have gone for the Searing Chains a moment earlier, but either way, he got a lot of Flame Guard damage, some Remnant damage, but in the end, can't net the kill. Yeah, there was no Searing Chains, just making sure it wasn't a visual bug. No Searing Chains on the combat log, so yeah, he is able to hold his ground, go for the bottom rune, and feel okay. I mean, obviously the blink, the stampede from the centaur, he could be TP'd on at any moment, but at least for now, he will survive through that, and Christy Jensen gets a chance to farm on the western side of the Radiant jungle. So it's not all bad, but it's looking pretty bleak when your Spectre is essentially the same value as your supports.
Yeah. Speaking of Christy Jensen, after this this set of creeps are killed, he will have enough for his Blink Dagger to be pretty damn close to it. But we can't forget about Ape Mother also. He has 1,300 gold following his brown boots in bottle, and he has a lot of space right now. Nature's Prophet is pulling, working the jungle. Looks like, oh wow, is he really going to go hand to Midas here? It could be the beginnings of a Maelstrom, but this is a little bit suspect from Jende.
I figured it is going to be him. Oh, art style again. He's gone. They commit the Chain Frost. They don't, like, by the time the double edge is in the air, you know he's completely done for, and they almost look for a second, but for now it's just going to be happy to continue to punish the Spectre, make it so that he can barely get any unreliable gold. Right now he's buying just bits and pieces of a bracer or an urn just to try to survive, but Blink Stun comes out on Dread, and under the tower he'll fall as well. It's the exact same thing that we were looking for from the Brewmaster, but Blink Dagger, but maybe even better on Solon here on the Centaur. Just absolutely insane what he's accomplished to this point, and kind of on Hellraiser's shoulders, the fact that they've not been aware of this potential. It's like they've never played against Blink Centaur this early before. I mean, obviously the timing was insane for Coast, but even still, they just have to play more reserved. They have to hide under the tower, have TPs ready. In this case, we're going to see a battle in the mid lane. Oh, S-Kill dropping down to the last tower, auto! Shadowfeed picks up a huge kill.
Yep. So, like you said, it's not all bad for Hellraisers, but they'll need a little bit more than that to change the tides of this game. Blink Dagger on the Sand King is a step in the right direction. Can Christy Jensen use it to set up some big kills and regain momentum is another question entirely. Brewmaster very close to his blink, also 300 gold away. They are going to start to rotate down bottom. Art Style, he's a Spectre without a home. He's tried bottom, went top, and now he's going to come back bottom to try and find some safe lane farm, start racking up the CS. 0, 3, and 2. And now has 20 last hits to his name as Brewmaster bottles up the bounty rune here and tops off his bottle. Let's see, what's Yoki working on? Wow, is he going for a mech? Okay.
Yeah. Mech Shadowfiend's actually a lot more standard than he used to be, and in a team where you have a Bane and a Sand King, they're not going to be picking up, and Nature's Prophet seems to be going for that Midas we were talking about. I'm not a fan of it in this situation, but here it is. Oh, that's pseudo bait as Solon goes in, but he still does a lot of damage in the process.
Yeah, the Ember Spirit's going to get left behind, though. Fiend's Grip from the high ground will lock him in place. It's a 5-hero rotation. They'll bring down Ember once more. Solon will try to TP home, but it won't happen as the Nightmare connects. They've got plenty of damage to bring him down. Meanwhile, in the top lane, Coast will claim a Tier 1 tower. No glyph comes out from the Radiant side, and they may try and transition into a tower push in the mid of their own. And the glyph has already been burned, and looks like they'll be able to get this perhaps, but no, Ape Mother comes in, clap, doesn't have the mana for the ultimate. Oh no, they'll still find the kill on Art Style, and they keep their tower safe. Christy Jensen in the tree line will get scattered up by the Lich. Chain Frost to interrupt. The Nature's Prophet takes a couple of bounces. Now the Black Hole to lock the Prophet in place. They'll chase down the Sand King. No TP scroll on Jensen. And he's just going to have to do it the old-fashioned way as he books it out. Enigma secures the deny on the tower mid. Now Ember Spirit ends up playing with Roshan, and it looks like the Sand King will survive. But another huge fight in favor of Team Coast. And, yeah.
Man, that Jende hate. Popping 2+2 minute cooldowns to bring him down. Chain Frost and Black Hole just interrupt that spammable teleport home ability. And yeah, Hellraisers, they're like, okay, if they're willing to commit that, they know how far ahead they are. They know how little we have going for us. And yeah, this is still, I mean, even without those cooldowns, they can take fight after fight with the blink initiation of the Centaur, of the Brew. So they don't get the tower they were looking for. They obviously lost the top tier 1. It was still nice that they had that smoke play on the mid, and they do bring down S-kills, but at what cost, I'll have to say. And obviously the tier 1 is now under siege.
Yeah. It is good they've kept the Ember Spirit down. He's middle of the pack. Oh, they'll catch Art Style once more. Stampede. This time they'll even use the Primal Split for it to make sure he can't dagger away. He gets hit by a boulder, and this Spectre is just getting nothing. Shadowfiend's farm is pretty good, though. He's close to number 1, just behind that of the Enigma. So maybe, just maybe, the Shadowfiend can buy them enough time and start taking some team fights so this Spectre can at least find a baseline of farm. Tier 1 tower in the mid lane taking a lot of damage. Christy Jensen off to the side. Will get his Blink Dagger interrupted by the Flame Guard. but Yoki now in some trouble as Solon comes in. That's the end of the Shadow Fiend. Now the rest of the fight will start to commence. There's no black hole. They'll lose their Lich, and Solon stuck inside of the Sprout in some trouble, as is the Ember Spirit. He does take the Fiend's Grip, but he will get mech'd up from the low ground, scoot down to safety, and they lose their Centaur. It's a 2-for-1, but they get the kill on the valuable Shadow Fiend.
Yeah, they actually canceled their Epicenter there. Started it, immediately canceled it. I think he didn't want to cast it at all and just changed his mind. In the end, though, it's a 2-for-1 in Hellraiser's favor, and anything of that nature is going to be what they need. The Fiend's Grip is what's keeping them in the game right now, because they can always lock down the Ember Spirit with that ability. And you see the reason they drafted it immediately after the Ember got picked up. It's just because they know the value of hard lockdown. And as far as long-range disable, it's all about the Centaur, who so far has been initiating rather than counter-initiating. So good use from the Bane. Still not enough to put them in the game in full, but it's enabling them to stop the bleeding and try to forge ahead. Right now, the current state is they have to really get a lot more value out of this Shadow Fiend and his mechanism, start battling a little bit more as 4, and let the Spectre just farm away. Because right now, he's under the gun every single second. Every time the blinks are off cooldown, Solon wants to go on him, and yeah, I mean, there's a reason that Centaur has a 70% win rate when he gets a Blink Dagger before 10 minutes. It's because he can just do so much crushing work.
Yeah, that's for damn sure. 8 Mother grabs himself the haste rune in the top position. No Primal Split available, but the Tier 1 tower mid was denied, so nowhere to retreat to. And Dread as well as Jende will make it back. And Nature's Prophet does have his Midas complete, 1,000 gold. But this is part of the problem that we were talking about, is he hasn't been able to commit that much. And if he gets caught by the Centaur, he just has no stats right now. Only 800 hit points. He is easy to bring down. Just a Hoof Stomp double-edge combo will take him well below half health. And that is certainly a cause for concern. Looks like Enigma will be moving into a BKB early on. Mech and Ogre Club already complete with 1,400 gold. Essentially just a recipe away from that 10 seconds of magic immunity.
Yeah, it's just a delay tactic from Hellraisers right now. They don't have any wards up, though, and it's really hard to delay if you don't see the enemy coming. For now, they kind of are aware that Coast is posturing for the bottom lane, but how legitimately? That is the question right now. They don't see anybody. They're all waiting in the wings, and there's the TP. That's a fatal move from Artstyle.
And looks like they'll jump on him once more. Spectral Dagger comes out. Midnight Pulse to clear out the trees, and they won't find him. And it looks like Artstyle will be safe for now as they just converge on the tower. And again, Hellraisers won't glyph it. I mean, it's just a free glyph. It's an extra 3 seconds you have to pressure this top tower before they can TP in.
Epicenter on the top lane.
Yeah, they're going on to Blonde. He'll take a lot of damage to get things started. It'll be a dead Enigma out of the gate. Solon gets caught inside of the Fiend's Grip, but now Ember Spirit joins the party. They'll lose their Lich off to the side. Yoki gets off a Requiem of Souls and doesn't do a hell of a lot. The Spectre is the one that's picking up those kills, actually. Solon reinitiates, gets the kill on the Sand King, but it'll cost him his life, and it's a 1-for-3 across the map. And HR actually come out way ahead this time.
Yeah, I really don't know what's going on with Ember Spirit's Searing Chains. S-Kills is getting so unlucky. He had 3 targets, and he needed to hit the Bane as one of them, with those obviously 2 potential Searing Chains, and he didn't get them. He didn't interrupt the channeling effect. Centaur, it takes a lot more damage than he needed to, and in the end, they only take the SK up top. So they get that great initiation, they get some more tower momentum, and Hellraisers are surprisingly back into this. Like, you looked at that just god-awful laning phase, and you're like, there's no way that they come out ahead when they're going Midas on the Prophet, but they just really, it's just as the Midas would, turns nothing into gold, and suddenly they're back into it. They really are. Nature's Prophet will TP to farm up the jungle, and once he finishes his Orchid, I really feel they're back in the game.
Yeah, and even Spectre, looks like Artstyle will move into a Radiance, 2,500 gold, and 2,500 gold at 16 minutes is not that bad. All of a sudden, he's looking okay. He secured the kill on the Lich, so that gave him a nice little pick-me-up in terms of gold, and all of a sudden, he's right back in it. So they'll go in onto Yoki in the mid lane. 8 Mother starts things off with the Thunderclap. The mech will get used right away, and now the Searing Chains come out. He'll look to TP home. Can they bring him down? Yes, they can. Even the Chain Frost committed to make sure that the TP would not be successful. Now Brew goes off into the Primal Split, connects with the Boulder Toss onto Dread, and we'll look to find some vengeance here. Nightmare and the Brain Sap will come out to buy him some time, but it doesn't look like it'll be enough. As Stampede is used, Dread gets isolated, down he goes. Jensen off to the side, not going to be able to do a hell of a lot. Prophet caught inside of the Tornado will come back down. It ends up being a 3-for-0. This time the other way as Team Coast regain a lot of that lost footing.
They have options here. They could go for tier 2. They could go for Roche off of all that kill momentum. For now, it looks like they are going for the bottom lane. So in this position, the big thing here is Christy Jensen's epicenter. If Christy can smoke Epi and blink in to defend the bottom tier 2, Hellraisers can follow it up with the level 2 haunt of the Spectre, and that'll push her towards Radiance very quickly. But if they just let this go, then they lose any chance of contesting Roshan if Coast moves for that next. So right now, they need to make the movement. Sand King needs to pop that smoke, and they need to find this hold.
Yeah, no, they do have a glyph available to buy themselves some time. The tree line's been taken out, but Epicenter may get channeled off to the backside. Coast will retreat, and they only do about half damage to the tower. So it is a successful hold from HR. They don't find any kills out of it, but they keep their tower standing, and as you mentioned, that access point to Roche will still be at their disposal. Ember Spirit has now been able to pick up his Drum of Endurance and his Phase Boots. 4-3-3. He's found some okay recovery also, and I reckon he'll just be looking towards that Battle Fury next, and at least he's got some momentum towards that big farming pickup.
Yeah, I see a lot of people actually complaining about the mechanism for the Shadow Fiend and chat and stuff, but a lot of people, obviously, when they don't see something work, then they don't know how valuable it can be. But in the Eastern scene in particular, oh, well, we might test how good it is here as he gets initiated on, and they commit the Stampede, connecting on top.
And will he just try to TP out of here? Yes, he will.
There it is.
Ends up canceling it as the haunt flies through. They'll try and turn it around, but he doesn't take any of the haunts. Now Solon will just go back in. Hoof stomp up in a few seconds. Won't be able to find it, but the Primal Split is there. And Yoki, will he be able to survive this? It's not looking so good as Lich comes in and a Frost Blast, or Frost Blast to bring him down. Boulder will hit the Nature's Prophet. Christy Jensen channeling the Epicenter. It will go off, but won't do so much damage. Goes in and does about half health to Seal Kid. And do they have any detection here? No, none whatsoever. Black Hole, that'll work, and that'll secure the kill for damn sure.
Yeah, but that is a lot committed to do nothing to the Spectre. I will keep that in mind as we do see the pursuit onto Dread. He's pretty quick at 365, but S-Kills catches up to him. They can't interrupt the TP though, so in the end, Dread does make it out, and Spectre just keeps farming away. Artstyle finds enough gold for the relics and the core you're at now, and they hold. They force Coast to use a lot of their resources down on bottom lane, and what turns into what could have just been a quick pickoff between Brew and Centaur turns into a whole lot more when SF kind of dodges out the initial clap and uses that mechanism. And yeah, right now, mechanism on Shadow Fiend is like actually 100% win rate. There might be some data lag on that as far as more recent games, but Mushi and Sylar build this item all the time, and it has been just absolutely insane for them. So we saw some value in it as they delay the fight, but we'll see if it's enough to keep his team fighting as Artstyle looks for that next big item.
Yeah. Yoki is now moving into a Yasha, so the mech has helped out quite a bit, but one issue with it is it hasn't really accelerated his farm like a Hand of Midas would, but it's kept him alive enough that he's still #1 on net worth, and we'll see where he goes from here. Yasha, the only other item he's found past that. Now, Ape Mother, he has a Vladimir's Offering, didn't go for the Aghanim straight away, but just going Aura base to try and help out the team, has himself an Invisibility Rune and the ultimate up in about 10 seconds. Looking at his options, but HR won't give him anything too fruitful. Artstyle now has the Sacred Relic picked up and a couple hundred gold away from the actual Radiance recipe itself. Meanwhile, Team Coast, they set their sights towards the Roche pit. They've got all their big ultimates up, except the Black Hole, but they'll still feel pretty confident just bringing it down as they have wards in the jungle. No, nobody is nearby. Even a BKB's now been picked up on the Enigma. Lich has also found level 11, which is pretty big for him. Chain Frost getting that shorter cooldown and doing a bit more damage.
Yeah, this is the critical time to go for the Roche, though, because if you're up against a Radiant Spectre, suddenly this becomes a lot more of a risky play. But as it is, it's very safe. The Radiance only just now came out, and Roshan falls pretty much in sync. So from this position, Hellraisers, they're better to turtle with the Radiance, especially since Ember Spirit is a better hero to defend with than to siege with. But even still, dealing with 2 lives on an Ember Spirit is never an easy thing, and if one Fiend's Grip isn't enough, then yeah, Hellraisers are in a bad spot. But at least for now, they're getting some nice map control. They had a ward on bottom rune that was recently taken care of by Coast, but it let them know that Ember and Brewmaster were looking to gank with Invis. Along with that, now you see them warding up the enemy jungle, and I think that for the most part, Artstyle is going to just park it there. And unless he has to TP back to defend, he's actually going to be farming the enemy side of the map alongside Christy Jensen, and this is going to allow them to actually have some income while they're on the defensive.
Yeah, Christy Jensen moving into probably the Veil of Discord, has the Helm of Iron Will picked up already as Team Coast group up down bottom. The Ember Spirit is very close to grabbing his Battle Fury now. Basically just a claymore away with 1,600 gold sitting in the inventory. Meanwhile, in the top lane, HR will pressure this tier 2 tower. Also, Haunt comes out, stops the blink from Centaur, and will allow them to make a pretty easy retreat. Won't be able to hop to any of the illusions, but still a good play from Artstyle to not give Coast the initiation they were looking for. Now things can be reset a bit. Neither team has secured a tower kill. Both towers at a pretty comparable amount of hit points, just barely outside of deny range. And we will see the stalemate commence. Where will HR go? They will just sound the retreat.
Yeah, I mean, if the Furion actually used this TP scroll to jump bottom, then obviously he would be able to TP into the fight if they wanted to go for that. But since they already used the Haunt to defuse the situation under tower, it's probably in their best interest to fall back. But Artstyle, as we say that, is actually about to cross paths with the other Immolator, the Ember Spirit. They both see each other now near the creeps, but neither one looking to make the move just yet. The Stampede is available. And it looks like, obviously, Coast will be pursuing the Spectre, as he should, but in the end, Artstyle gets the TP back. He's in his own jungle, and he's actually feeling safe to farm up towards that next big item.
Yeah, most definitely. So, Coast losing perhaps a bit of momentum here, but they still have the Aegis in tow, and it's basically really just a break-even fight. Both teams doing the same amount of damage to each other's towers, no BKBs used, no big ultimates expired, except that of the Haunt. So that's the only thing perhaps going in favor of Coast there. Not the longest cooldown, and will be up basically in time for them to take this next engagement. Solon TP's down to the bottom tower, and we'll just clear up the creep wave and keep pressure off their tier 1. And Dread, Invisibility Rune on. I don't think they have any detection handy. But the Battle Fury, oh, they actually have some dust, but I doubt they'll just use it willy-nilly here. But the Ember Spirit now has his Battle Fury, so this is where his farm will start to accelerate. He's only about 2,000 gold behind that of the Shadow Fiend. Him and the Nature's Prophet have been holding the top 2 slots on the net worth chart for most of this game, but that could change soon. We'll see a Fiend's Grip onto the Ember Spirit, so not changing anytime soon here, as that'll be the end of the Aegis of the Immortal. But now Solon comes in, Stampede used, goes right onto Dread. They'll have the Thunderclap. He'll fall, as will the Nature's Prophet. Trading 2 for the Aegis, not quite what HR had in mind.
Not at all. I honestly thought that only 1 TP would get away, but Nigma's in the right position. Centaur had the focus, and through some well-timed coordination, they're able to interrupt 2 TPs. Now, they did have a Sentry Ward on the high ground here, and Debane almost towed the line that would reveal him despite the Invis Rune, but in the end, they bait them in further, and they get more out of it. Now, the initiation towards the mid lane.
Yep. Haunt's used. Which one's Spectre going to hop to? He's on the back side of the fight. Will do a lot of damage to Seal Kid as well as Solon. Blonde in the front lines looking for a black hole, but they've already lost their Lich. And Enigma, not enough mana for his black hole now. They'll find Jensen. He'll get isolated and gets picked off. Shadow Fiend caught inside of the Cyclone. He's already used his mech, but will be able to walk his way to safety. So once again, Team Coast doing okay in that exchange. It's a 1-for-1 trade. Both teams just using their mechs, and that'll be the end of it. There was an Epicenter used as well. So about a break even, but Team Coast okay with that, at least for now. And just looking at the net worth chart, it hasn't really moved much. It's just been these little pickoffs here and there. But we'll see the Ember Spirit isolated once again. Orchid to start things off. In comes Yoki, but he'll be able to hop to the high ground. Compliments of that Fire Remnant.
And the Nightmare was a mistake. I mean, maybe if he A-clicks him immediately and wakes himself up with his sub-ability, they might have been able to get that kill. But as soon as they went for the Nightmare on top of the Orchid, S-Kills was fine. So yeah, this is really the state of affairs as it is which team is just farming more efficiently, because Artstyle and S-Kills haven't really been interrupted in their farming routes. S-Kills has chosen to move into a couple of fights, but he hasn't been forced into it. So for now, I have to say Artstyle is pulling ahead, gaining the most from this, because obviously he had that atrocious start with barely 2k net worth. And once he gets this harder Trask, he's going to be feeling much more confident going up against the side of Coast. Still, we see the BKBs up on Enigma, on the Brew, and in that position, they have a pretty good shot at breaking through this epicenter, breaking through any magical damage, really, and coming out the other end with their health intact.
Yeah, Coast are continuing to itemize well, as they did in the last game. We see the pipe now up on Centaur. Great against the Sand King, who has a Veil of Discord. And speaking of the Devil, Christy Jensen will get initiated on once more. Searing Chains will be rather unlucky. And now the turn could come. Yoki's here, uses the mech. In comes the Nature's Prophet, and S-Kills, he's dead. Solon will suffer a similar plight. This Bane is doing some serious work this game. I feel like the Fiend's Grip has been what's really given HR the edge they need to take the momentum that they have in this game.
Yeah, it's only 100-second cooldown. We do see actually 8 Mother's still around here. He doesn't have like Ags or anything, but he's still going to go in. This is a very aggressive play from him.
Yeah, the tower still goes down. Primal Split's already come out, but in comes the Black Hole on 3. And out comes Jensen. He's off to the side. It's actually a Black Hole on 4. Shadow Fiend will go down. The Nature's Prophet will try to TP out, and that may be successful. Dreg gets left behind. He will get clicked down as one more boulder brings him down. And the Tornado onto Artstyle. Off to the backside. They'll get the Sand King. They lose their Lich, but now Artstyle, he's got nowhere to go. No mana for the Spectral Dagger. It'll be close, but he'll get stunned, and he will die as it's a 3 for 4. And Blonde with the Black Hole to make it happen.
Great play from Blonde there. Obviously, Ko's come up huge ahead, but there was one thing off to the northern end of that fight that I do want to highlight. A great reaction from the Sand King. Christy Jensen sees that the Enigma is BKB'd, so he can't interrupt the Black Hole with his stun. Instead, he blink stuns the Lich, who was just about to throw out a Chain Frost into the Black Hole. If they got that Chain Frost off with the Black Hole, with the Primal Split, nobody from Hellraisers would be walking away alive, and they wouldn't have gotten anything in return either. But Christy Jensen at least has the mentality. He sees that the Lich is coming in and has the map sense to focus him down specifically. So in the end, the Lich does fall, and they don't lose as much as they could have. But even still, it was an amazing Black Hole from the Enigma. Perfect timing on that blink BKB, and now that's going to set the tone for the rest of the game. If Black Hole is up, Hellraisers are going to be absolutely terrified to go up against Bland.
Yeah, and that was the momentum that Team Coast needed to, or the team fight they needed to regain some momentum here. Still a small gold lead for HR, but very even in general, again, considering that early Handamitis that they had picked up and the lack of farming tools on the Dire side. But now Ember Spirit working on probably his crit. I think he'll emulate a pretty comparable build to last game, which was Battle Fury, Daedalus into BKB, and then just into his second Battle Fury. Worked damn well for him, and I'm sure we'll see it again. Now we'll see an interesting pickup on the Prophet. He'll go Orchid into Shadow Blade on top of this Ultimate Orb. So looking for just a bit more mobility here, I guess, and also some right-click potentials. The Shadow Blade does give you some decent DPS.
I don't know, man. This doesn't seem like a game-winning build for me. The Nature Prophet going in with the Shadow Blade, he'll be able to do some sneaky stuff, trying to pressure the buildings, and he might be able to get an Orchid on Centaur before the fight initiates. But I mean, the 2 BKBs already out on the Enigma, on the Brewmaster. Really, the only big thing that I can see happening with that pickup is a surprise attack on the Ember Spirit, who still is going to be building up crit as well as Battle Fury, and as such could be pinned down by a Orchid Sprout play.
Yeah, and it's also, I feel like they'll be looking toward, they already have detection to deal with the Sand King, so if there's some sentries down, then he gets picked off before the fight starts. That could very quickly backfire. They're already somewhat prepared for it, and there's a gem on Enigma. I was just going to say, one should be coming out soon, and they've got it. So it seems like an awkward time for that Shadow Blade. Usually it's one of those items that players will rush because, hey, you can't usually afford a gem, you know, at the 15-minute mark, or if you do, it's too risky. But here, we're 31 minutes in, and there will be detection in pretty much every one of these team fights from this point onward. And Artstyle, he'll walk right into the danger zone. He'll get stun locked down, and that's a dead Spectre to get things started.
Immediately they sound the retreat. We do see Jende going right back into jungle, working towards that scythe because they can't do anything in this position. Christy Jensen does have a TP as well. Kind of curious that he's actually still sticking around. Maybe some solo kill potential if the Ember doesn't see it coming, but for the most part, he would at least need the buyback haunt, and we do see Spectre actually just bought an item. He will pick up the Reaver, so no buyback from him. And yeah, it looks like it's going to be a 2 versus 1 onto Solon.
But he's the one carrying the pipe. He has a lot of magic armor here. Now the right clicks coming in as they all TP forward. Blonde on his way. Not enough mana for the Black Hole. Soul Ring on cooldown for another 5. In comes 8 Mother to buy him some space. Christy Jensen connects with a stun. BKB used by Blonde. Frost Blast to bring down the Nature's Prophet. Christy Jensen will now get hit by a solo Chain Frost. And a godlike streak comes out for 8 Mother as they turn it around and get another nice set of kills. A 1-for-2 trade as that tanky Centaur bought them the time they needed to turn it around.
Yeah, just a high-risk, low-reward play. I mean, yes, the pipe was on cooldown for the Centaur, so he's only just mitigating. He's not preventing any damage, but even still, that's right next to their base. You know that they can respond to those situations, and they commit to a fight that they couldn't possibly win without art style. So in the end, a bit of a snafu from Hellraisers. Maybe art style will still be able to make up for it, farming up this harder Tarask. He desperately needs it. The Blink Dagger is also a really good pickup, though, on the Bane. So even with those losses, I don't think the Nature's Prophet is going to be a very impactful force for quite some time, but the Bane and the Spectre certainly will.
Sorry, Blaze. Reseating my mic there. Apparently I was having some crackle, snap, crackle, pop. Hopefully that fixes it. Can you hear me, by the way?
Yeah, no problem.
Okay, good. All right. Phew. Whew. All right. So hopefully that fixes it, guys. I don't know what the deal was, but I just got the bug report from the old K-Pop-tosis. So anyway, on that note, we will see Haunt into the Roche pit as Coast have been fighting the big monster. Will he jump to any of the illusions?
Oh.
Yes, he will. On the high ground, he'll go for Seal Kid, but he'll survive the initial onslaught. Pipe Mech comes out, and now Artstyle completely isolated. His team isn't here fast enough. Lich will go down, but it'll be a Lich for Spectre trade, and Team Coast will be pretty satisfied with that.
Yeah, I mean, there's possibility for the Epicenter and the Fiends group to come out now, but they're still up against so much. Christy Jensen will go for the pickoff on Solon, and it looks like they will get him. Just a couple more right clicks will bring him down, and it does stop the Roche, but at the cost of the Spectre's life, and that, again, delaying his heart. If they don't take the Roche for themselves right now, I really don't feel that that's worth it, but with the Epi and Veil available outside the pit, and the Blink Bane as well in position, they might be able to pursue, but S kills the buyback. It is going to be a stalemate once again. 8 Mother popping the BKB.
Yeah, this is a hard one to do. Blonde with a black hole on one. It'll catch Yoki. BKBs have been used, and they want to bring down this Shadow Fiend, but do they have the damage to do it? Chain Frost flies through the mech. Won't be enough to keep him alive through that. 8 Mother secures a longer godlike streak as Christy Jensen forced to hop to the high ground here, but they've got plenty to isolate him, and now the Sand King gets left behind, and it's pretty disastrous for the Hellraisers. The buyback on Lich, more than worth it, and they will now secure Roche for themselves.
This is disastrous. I gotta say, that was an incredible play from S-Kills, though. The single black hole was out on the Shadow Fiend, and with a BKB up, the only thing that can cancel it is the Fiend's Grip right now, but the Fiend's Grip was en route. He was walking to it, and it's another play like we saw from the Sand King down on the bottom lane. It's preventing the person that can turn the fight from actually getting into play. So nice Searing Chains coming out from S-Kills to prevent the Bane interruption, and Shadow Fiend had no hope of survival once the black hole went for full duration. But up top, we're going to see that Orchid do some work with the Fiend's Grip, and it should be enough to bring down Solon.
But Enigma's on his way in. Pipe gets used as the Malefice is there to interrupt it. The Haunt from Spectre. Will he actually hop to one of these illusions, though? There's a lot of support inbound, and it doesn't look like Spectre will actually come to the fight. Instead, he'll stay farming in the jungle. Really wants to finish this Heart of Tarask that has already been delayed so much, and that will be the end of it. So a couple of big cooldowns on the side of the Radiant used, and it does not yield a kill.
Unfortunately not. You got to remember that as far as damage types go with the Orchid Malevolence,
Prophet, he'll try to TP out. That won't happen. Down bottom, they'll catch him, and the Midnight Pulse breaking the tree line to give him the vision, and now they get a freebie off following that last exchange also.
Yeah, the big deal about that Orchid is the Soulburn is magic-based. At least it will amplify the magic damage, and that will replicate the effect. So when he pops the pipe, he's pretty much home free, and yeah, playing with another nice save. I just feel like Coast are playing more reactively. Like, we do see Hellraisers trying to be proactive in their engagements, and we always see Coast coming up with the upper hand, and that's because they are always in a position to respond, and they're always bringing more contributions. We do see them kind of overcommit to an illusion here with a smoke and a stampede, but in the end, not the biggest cooldowns to commit, and they're still looking to push in.
Yep, definitely so. Spectre will finally complete his Heart of Tarask, but it's not really as intimidating as it would have been had the timing been a lot better. His net worth is still very low, and this Ember Spirit is getting huge. He now has a Daedalus, full Daedalus complete. We'll see in the jungle, Christy Jensen gets picked off, and that'll be an easy kill for Team Coast. And now with 2 dead, they will look towards the high ground. They still have the Aegis of the Immortal in the inventory of the Ember Spirit. And Sand King, does he have a buyback here? Yes, he does. So there is a chance that HR can still make a hold, but Haunt down for another 15 seconds. I think they'll at least get a Tier 2 tower.
These illusions are throwing Coast for a loop a little bit, but better to commit a little bit too much and not really lose anything than to miss out on an opportunity. Nice defensive nightmare.
Yeah, but now they'll go in. Chain Frost flying through. Black Hole just on Yoki. Buyback used by the Sand King, and now the fight will commence, but the Chain Frost bouncing around. Blonde caught inside of the Fiend's grip. He's already done what he needed to do. They'll find the kill on him, but a 1-for-1 will be okay for Coast, and now they can reinitiate. Art Style stuck in the middle of the fray. He'll go down. Enigma buys back. They lose their Lich, but Sand King also falls. Team Coast coming out way ahead. Now they isolate the Nature's Prophet off to the side. Blonde has BOTs. He's able to get right back in the fight, and all of a sudden, it's a 4v1 on the field, and the only one with a buyback of those dead is the Nature's Prophet. This is starting to look bad for the Hellraisers and could be a 2-0 for Team Coast in this best-of-3 blaze.
Yeah, honestly, the Fiend's Grip has been a great tool for the side of Hellraisers all game long, but if you're going to Fiend's Grip an Enigma who already used Black Hole and completed it, then you really don't deserve to win a fight. So S-Kills with 2 lives and no Fiend's Grips against him can just go and do his thing. Critting him down, right-clicking away, and they are going to take 2 lanes of racks off of this. It's really the midnight hour for Hellraisers, if they want to even try to contest it at all. I think they do, but it's going to be insanely difficult to try to come back from this kind of a position. Just Coast have earned every step the right direction, and yeah, I really just like their general team and gameplay. I mean, the fact that they're working together as a team, the fact that they're responding to situations well, and in this sense just have the superior team fight, as the Enigma has been just isolating this Shadow Fiend time and time again.
Yeah, absolutely so. And there was probably a chance that that could have been Megas or at least a Tier 3 tower gone for the top lane, but there's still a Tier 2 standing. So that stopped Coast kind of dead in their tracks, and following that fight, we'll look at the graph, and it's just a downward spiral. 7,500 gold now in their favor, 14,000 experience, and Spectre is still just so under-farmed. He's down near the Centaur, who has not had much farm priority outside of that early blink, and he just doesn't do any damage, and he still isn't really that tanky despite having a Heart of Tarrasque with only 10 armor.
Yeah, and if the damage isn't coming from him, then where is it coming from? The Shadow Fiend who gets killed off at the beginning of every fight and has purchased 3 defensive items? Is it the Nature's Prophet who went for a very tempo-inclined build? Like, I mean, this Midas Shadowblade Orchid, it's great, but, like, I think it's, like, 10-1 if you can go before 25 minutes. But the second that you're starting to push those big tempo-oriented items towards the mid to late game, you're going to be just barely winning any fight. So they really need more from the Nature's Prophet. Maybe that Hex would turn the tides, but with a 4 racks disadvantage, Coast are in a great position to end the game on their terms. They did use a buyback BOT on the Enigma, but that's really the only expense they've incurred thus far, and Coast is just getting stronger and stronger with each team fight.
Yeah. Certainly so, and across the board, even just looking at hero levels, farm, they're just pulling further and further ahead. Item progression-wise, 8 Mother, he's 13-1-12, by the way. He has a huge streak to his name if they can bring him down. He's now completed his Assault Cuirass to counteract that of the Shadow Fiends. Centaur looks to be moving in towards a BKB. And let's see, where's Enigma at? He'll be going towards a refresher with the Oblivion Staff picked up. Lich, well, he doesn't have too much else to his name, but he's still Lich. He's doing what he can. And Ember Spirit almost on that second Battle Fury. We'll see Tier 2 towers exchanged, but it is Team Coast that just goes straight in for the base. They only have 1 lane of barracks to cut through. A Glyph is still available for the Radiant side. Stampede is used as Art Style goes in, and now the Chain Frost used just on him. No bounces, but he's completely isolated.
Epicenter?
Where's the follow-up? Epicenter on quite a few. The pipe's been already used, and that'll do a lot of damage. Brings down the Enigma. Spectre also falls in the fray. Now the Fiend's Grip out onto 8 Mother. He's all by his lonesome, but he's pretty damn tanky. They can't bring him down. He comes out of it and just smacks Dread in the face. He'll be able to use a Defensive Nightmare to keep himself alive. Art Style does buy back and secures the kill onto the Centaur. 8 Mother goes down. There's the end of that godlike streak. It's Prophet that does it. And it is HR that take the successful team fight. It's a 3-for-1 with a buyback on the Spectre, but they get a huge net worth change, and most importantly, they do keep their Tier 3 standing in the top lane.
Yep, comeback patch is real. We'll see what they can do with this extra boon of gold, but it's really the fact that Enigma didn't get the black hole off in that fight. The Epicenter was a great movement from low to high ground from Chrissy Jensen. He was level 16 with the Veil, and even despite a few seconds left on the pipe with the smoke play, he was able to catch that Enigma off guard and bring him down. So huge play from him, but I'm not sure if it's going to be enough. Like right now, Coast, they have a lot of room for error with this rack disadvantage, even up against the hard carry of the Spectre. Maybe if the Shadowblade Hex goes and picks off the Ember Spirit, they've got something to work with, but right now S-Kills is realizing the threat, hiding on the high ground, and obviously the Spectre bought back. So really what it comes down to is Coast just need 1 Black Hole Chain Frost to rule them all and to end this game here and now.
Yeah, certainly so. And down bottom, Jensen as well as the Nature's Prophet will get caught in searing chains. That'll be the end of the Prophet. Jensen, he doesn't have a buyback here either. He's trying to make the escape, but it just won't happen. They've got the gem on the Lich, and that's a 2-for-0. Oh, no. That was the complete opposite of what HR needed in this situation.
Yeah, look for a pick on the Lich, but honestly, it's a low-value kill at this point, and yeah, they're just giving up lives left and right. They are losing momentum if they had it at any point in this game, and suddenly Coach can just push out of their base. They don't even need to wait for Roshan, and honestly, they shouldn't, because we're looking at the timer from our caster point of view, and we do see it's going to be almost 3 minutes from now, so a very long spawn, and it should be on Coast to end the game here now, because buyback is on CD for Spectre, and it's actually coming back online for Enigma shortly.
Yep, BKB completed on 8 Mother, and this is getting towards the looking like it could be the end of the run for HR here pretty soon. They have a glyph still. They didn't have to use it in the last fight, but like you said, Spectre's buyback stuck on cooldown is the big one here. They will have a full 5-man roster when this fight breaks out. We'll see if Enigma can get off the black hole. Now an ultimate orb is up on Spectre, so a little bit more tanky, and Shadow Fiend will buy his BKB, which also means he has no buyback. So he's invested in his items. Glyph comes out right away, and this is do or die now. Dread will get caught inside of the Cyclone. They'll go in onto Yoki. Stampede used off to the side. Artstyle doing a lot of damage to Seal Kid. Brings down the Lich to start off this fight, and they also get the kill on the Sand King. But there's your black hole. Is the follow-up damage going to be enough? Blonde channeling it at full duration, but they've already lost their Ember Spirit, and Yoki, he's standing his ground with his BKB on. Ember Spirit will buy back. He's right back into the fray. Now the Nature's Prophet's down, and it's just clean up. Spectre falls, as will the Bane, and it's the difference in buybacks that are coming into play here, Blaze. The buyback's now used on the Radiant side for Bane and the Prophet, but without Spectre, this will be very difficult, especially considering they don't have a glyph, and Ember Spirit is still alive and at full health.
Yeah, they're without 2 heroes for 40 seconds. We'll have Enigma BOTing to the front lines as soon as he heals up back at the well, and he still has that buyback, so of course only 1 TP cooldown. But the big deal there was syncing up the Cyclone on the Bane with the BKB Black Hole and the 2 cores. What players here on Team Coast. They're just combining their forces so great, and with these stunts coming out, they're going to be able to secure their victory. They really have executed these team fights extremely well, know exactly what they need to accomplish to take the win, and Yoki, it's his, he's trying to go for a Death Requiem, but it's going to be the 50% one to end the game here.
Yep, so GG well played comes out, and it is Team Coast that takes it 2-0 in the first round of the Summit 2 by G2A.com European Qualifiers. So we will have a long break here, folks. We've got another best of 3 series coming up, but it's not scheduled to start for another 90 minutes. So we will have a long break, and then we will have the Balkan Bears versus My Insanity, and I will be casting that with Purge. He's going to be coming by the studio, and should be a good time. Blaze, thank you for joining me for this opening series, my friend. Always a pleasure. If you enjoyed the cast, be sure to follow him on Twitter at BlazeCasting and me at ZyoriTV. Also at Beyond the Summit to stay up to date with all things Summit related and things happening here in the studio. But I'm looking forward to seeing Team Coast in the next round and see how they fare. They keep this up, I think there's a good chance they'll make it into the main event.
Most definitely. It's some of the best team play I've seen in a long time, and a pleasure to cast it with you, man. Obviously, looking forward to the more of the Summit qualifiers and seeing what the teams bring to the table when they're going up against the big boys of the EU.